We are keeping an eye on all of those moves. I don't know if that's an exclusive just yet, but we will defer to you for transfers. We'll start our preview now, though, because it's the big one. Manchester United, Liverpool, Old Trafford, Sunday. One of the biggest rivalries in world football. We talk about global appeal. As a South African, I know that this is the game. Doesn't matter how many millions of miles away you are from Old Trafford, which is where it's being staged on Sunday. People come to a standstill to watch this, and that gave us an element, an idea of just how big it is globally.
100%. This is one of the biggest games in world football, and for somebody like myself who played for Man City, I used to say, oh, United versus City, that's the big rivalry. Not really, and even from this side of Man City and Liverpool now, you think that's a big rivalry. Well, this one between United and Liverpool, it's more historic. It's got more sort of like bigger memories to it, and the two sets of supporters and clubs, like, they do hate each other. You know, this is one of the reasons why there aren't many players that have happened to play for both. I know the show sometimes has someone that has in Michael Owen, but I think outside of that, there's him, there's Paul Ince, and I can't think of many others. There's something about how if you play for one, there's no way on this earth you even consider playing for the other. They will never forget you. So this is a huge game, and it's so early in the season. It's like a real blessing to have this in the Premier League. It
doesn't even matter where they are, what they're chasing. It doesn't matter if they're chasing titles, if they're doing well, if one of them's not having a great season like we saw with Manchester United last time out. It doesn't matter that United lost last weekend, does it?
No, it's like I said, it's one of the biggest games in the world. And even when I was in different parts of the world, in Asia, doesn't matter what time it was, Man United, Liverpool, this game, they would have watched it. Regardless of what happened the week before, season before, or 10 seasons before, it's all about the here and now. And whoever wins that game this weekend, they're the talk of the town. So it's a massive game, and you can't really underestimate how big it is until you see, like you'd have seen in America, different parts of the world, that it's watched absolutely everywhere.
So we're going to hear from Erik ten Hag in a moment. But first, Liverpool boss Arne Slot has been talking about his new signing from Juventus, Italian striker Federico Chiesa.
Hi, we've been waiting for news on Scott McTominay and Manuel Ugarte for a couple of days now. I know there's not been any official announcement, but can you update anything yet?
It looks like you know everything. So, yeah. So Simon, I can't tell you more than you already know, and so it's not completed yet.
But the deadline closes at 11 o'clock, so presumably you expect it to be completed.
Yes, we expect it, but I can't confirm it by now.
Can you also update what the situation is with Jadon Sancho, please?
Yeah, he is playing our squad, and we are happy with him. And we need a good squad. We need depth in the squad. We have to play many games till January. So the new format of Europe. So after the break, we will play every third game. So we need absolutely options.
And so you expect him still to be here after this evening?
As I know, yeah.
Melissa.
Erik, what's the latest with Rasmus Højlund, and when can we expect him back in first team training?
After the break, but when after the break, I think it's 3 weeks from now, and we have to see how it develops, how we can progress during the break to get match fit. But so he returned on the pitch, but it will take a while before he's up, because everyone have seen happens in the first game. So he need also go up and build some fitness.
I know you can't confirm anything, but you would have seen the scenes yesterday of Scott McTominay at Naples airport getting a very warm welcome by the fans. Was that a nice thing for you to see? Massive smile on his face, him being so welcomed so quickly?
It's a little bit mixed. I'm very happy for him, and it's also for us. But it's mixed because I wouldn't prefer to lose him, because he is Man United in every vein. He was so important for our team, for Manchester United. He was here for over 22 years, but unfortunately it's the rules, and we have to discuss the rules when you have to do sales, and then obviously homegrown players, so academy players, they bring more value. and that's not the right thing to do. But yeah, I think for everyone, for all parts, it's a good deal. For Scott, he's happy with it. Of course, for Napoli, very good play, but also for us.
Richard. Eric, looking ahead to this weekend then, what is the team news heading into Liverpool?
What do you mean with team news? You wanna have the lineup?
In an ideal world, yes, but I don't think you're going to give us that. Are we looking at the same again, or do you have more options this weekend?
Now we have Mason Mount. We all have seen he's not available for the weekend, and then I think that's it. And for the rest, is the same squad as last week.
And with Liverpool in mind, obviously you had 2 good games against them at Old Trafford in the League and Cup last year. Is it a tie that excites you coming so early in the season, and what differences have you already seen in the way Arne Slot lines up his team?
It's always when Liverpool comes, it's very exciting, and we are really looking forward to compete with them. So we have a good squad. We can bring a good team out. Of course, it's early in the season. We have to progress. We have to improve. Also because we have to integrate some new players in. But yeah, we are really looking forward for this game.
Neil, what are you getting with the new player that you maybe didn't have with Scott? Why have you sort of made the change?
With the new player, to make a change, I think you can't. It's not a comparison. It's not that you can compare those 2 players because they are different players. But so we had 3 number 10s, and we didn't have any more holding midfielders apart from we had 1. So that is the idea behind.
Samuel.
Eric, Dan Ashworth said at the UEFA draw regarding the transfer window, let's see what happens. The window's still open. We have some conversations going on. Do you think there'll be any more incomings, or do you think the next player will be the final player to come in?
It's what Dan has said everything. So I don't have to go into this because it's already said. So I think we always look for opportunities to bring out the best squad we can have.
Just for this weekend, Marcus Rashford's got a very good record against Liverpool, but he had some criticism from Alan Shearer last week. You took him off just after Ahmad scored. Is he lacking confidence? I know you said a couple of weeks ago he wasn't, but he's had some good chances this season and not taken them. Everyone
gets criticism from you guys. Doesn't matter what we are doing. If we are winning, if we are losing, if I take a player off, and it's a conclusion. I'm not happy with him. I was very happy with Resi in pre-season against Fulham, also against Brighton. It was not because that I took him off because his performances or his level was not right. No, we have to rotate, and we have good players on the bench as well. You bring new energy to win the game, and there will be a rotation. And that if then there's the conclusion, a player is not performing, can be sometimes, but definitely it wasn't in this case. So stupid analyze in this case from a pundit.
Of course, we're happy with the ones we signed because I said many times that it's difficult for us to make the team even stronger because we already have a very strong team. And if we then find them, of course, we're very happy with that. So Chiesa is someone who can help us for the short term. And Mamashvili, I think I pronounced it then really good, is I think one of the examples where this club did in the past very good as well. That we look also at the future, long-term future of the club, and that's why we signed him.
Any chance of?
Oh yeah, that was your last question. Yeah. I'm not expecting anything, but again, it's no difference than all the days before. If we see an opportunity, we could act, but I'm not expecting anything.
Just wanted to ask you about Kelleher with Mamardashvili coming in next summer and his long-term future. I mean, how do you see it? Because you've got 2 years left on his contract, but obviously it's going to be different competition for places with Mamardashvili coming in. So at his age, I'd imagine he's got a decision to make on his future.
Maybe, but we have to make decisions as well. It's not only the player. I think if you work at a club like Liverpool, you need competition, and we need a lot of good players. And like I said, Mamashvili is someone for the long future of the club, and I'm really, really happy with the goalkeepers we have at the moment. And Cruyff is one of them, like Fit and Ali. So we're in a good place when it comes to goalkeepers for now and for the long term.
Good start to the season. You've obviously already faced Manchester United in the summer as well, but how different an experience are you expecting going to Old Trafford in the Premier League?
It's going to be different, of course, because when we played them in the States, I think it was 50-50 when it was about the fans. The stadium was somewhere the same. I think it was 80,000 or something like this. But the atmosphere will be completely different, of course, because I'm not expecting half of the stadium that they are cheering for us or they're in favor for us. Would be a surprise though if it happens. So that's going to be different, but what makes it more different is that both teams have a lot of different players on the pitch. So you can't compare that game with the game on Sunday.
Ayana, what have you been told about this fixture? What's been said to you around the club this week ahead of going to Old Trafford?
Some of them try to tell me a few things about it, but I don't think that's really necessary. If you're starting to work at Liverpool, everybody knows, every player that comes in knows that, and every manager that comes in knows how important the game against United is. It's similar to when you work at Feyenoord, how big the game against Ajax is. So people tell you, of course, but it's not really necessary, because if you follow the game of football, which I do, for a long time, you know the importance of Liverpool against United or United against Liverpool.
Obviously, two Dutch managers in charge. You've already met Eric, both in your home country, but then in pre-season too. How would you describe your relationship with him?
As good and as normal as the relationship you have with many other managers. So Eric, René Haken and Ruud van Nistelrooy have joined him, and the relationship with the both of them is also the same as with Eric. I would call that very good, because we respect, all of us respect each other a lot because of what these managers did at their former clubs. And they've been successful, all three of them, at the clubs they worked at in the past. So there's a good good relationship between us.
Friends?
No friends. No. Friends is something else, I think. But a very good relationship. But a friend is someone you see a lot and you go out with, either to dinner with. But that's not something we've done in the past. That's for that we don't know each other well enough.
Thank you. Hi, Anna. On Federico Chiesa, he hasn't played since the Euros and didn't have a pre-season. Just wondering, do the fans have to be a little bit patient with him to see the best out of him? And how excited are you to sign such an exciting one, given he's still only 26?
Excited. Like I said before, if we sign someone that can help us achieving our goals and improve the squad, if we then find someone, of course you're really excited that we brought him in. I think one of the best things of working here, what I've noticed till now, is the culture of this team. They work really hard to try to achieve their goals, and I think then it's really important that the first player you bring in has that same attitude and that same how should I say this? Brings the same culture. So he works really hard on and off the pitch to try to get the best out of him. And he combines this with scoring goals, and like I said, really aggressive without the ball, and those are already two characteristics with him. Can playing on so many positions on the right, on the left, and maybe even in the middle, makes him an interesting signing for us. Although I agree with you, we should take care of him in the beginning, because he didn't train with the team in the last 2 weeks, but before he did, haven't played many game minutes yet. But we have a very good performance staff, so we will build him up in the right way, and then hopefully we can see his quality in the near future.
So Chiesa not going to start, not fit enough. We'll get to him in just a moment. Erik ten Hag, how much pressure is he under for the... Erik ten Hag's always under pressure. That was a silly question. I mean, how much would he love to get this victory, considering what happened last time out? And then, do you have any idea about the Sancho transfer? What would need to happen? How close or far it is?
Well, I think for the transfer of Sancho to Chelsea to happen, obviously Sterling would have to leave Chelsea, and there has been no real movement on that just yet. Sterling is very much the master of his own destiny as far as that's concerned, given he's got 3 years left in his contract. He hasn't asked to leave the club. Sancho is interesting because, as I was saying before, I did interview him last season at some length, and we talked off camera as well, and he talked about the fact that he's not very trusting of lots of people. He needs to be in a place where he feels really secure to be able to produce his best football self. And Chelsea are a club, well, Madueke is doing very well down that right-hand side at the moment, scored a wonderful hat-trick last weekend, and in tandem with Cole, needs to be in a place where he feels really secure to be able to produce his best football because he feels good about himself. And Chelsea are a club, well, Madueke is doing very well down that right-hand side at the moment, scored a wonderful hat-trick, is playing very well. So I'm quite fascinated to see how this is going to pan out as far as Sancho is concerned. Is Ten Hag under pressure? Yes, he is, because you're in charge of the biggest club in the world. But set against that, I remember there was a period where Liverpool were carrying all before them and United were terrible in the last couple of years. But they always seem to show each other way too much respect. And I think this could be a fascinating game of chess rather than an all-out attack.
Especially because of what happened last weekend. I've mentioned it twice now, but United, Zesh at Brighton, losing late on, the subs that Ten Hag made, the way that Hertzler was a little bit more ambitious with his subs, and it paid off. And just the fact that United, lost again.
They've kept a style of play and an identity which has become known to them now, and they deserve it for being brave, for pushing for the victory right at the end.
Zesh, in this next bit of footage we see here for the winning goal, right?
Yeah.
You see players running out and players on the back post. What's going on here?
I think they've just had a complete rush of... They've switched off. So basically when you come out, Nathan, you would know, you need to come out marking your man or come out in a line as a unit. You need leadership at the back, you need organisation, and clearly there's 2-3 men at the back post unmarked. Something's missing in the heart of the defence, and when you want to win games late on, that can't happen.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly fair. And I think at times as a player, you can be guilty of just ball watching. And you tend to fall into that mindset when you're in a sense of desperation. But as we look back at that goal, you only need one person to see him. Yeah. But unfortunately for United, the person that saw it was a dinger for Brighton. And it was a great pass. And everyone will look around and say, oh, how's this person free? Well, from Onana to the defenders, to the midfielders, to the attackers, not one person noticed the guy that was free at the back post. And unfortunately, this is how you can get punished.
Yeah, so many red shirts in there. And as you mentioned, a little bit guilty of ball watching. Yeah. Adingra, as I'd mentioned earlier, was one of those subs that came on. If they give Mo Salah that kind of space, knowing what Mo Salah does against Manchester United, 6 goals at Old Trafford, the most in history by a visiting player, they will be in big trouble.
Yeah, Mo Salah at Old Trafford almost feels inevitable, to be honest. And it's not necessarily something the United fans want to hear, but that's the reality of it. And I think if United do defend like that, then yes, they will be in trouble. But I thought overall against Brighton, I thought they were okay. I don't think it was as bad as, say, the result sort of married itself to. And I think in different moments, they'd probably win that game. I think having a goal disallowed, and obviously the one at the end with Xerxes' knee being hit. And they just need to improve in the moments. But unfortunately for them, the person who tends to step up when someone's having a bad moment is Mo Salah. The guy does it over and over and over and over again against them. And I think to see someone that comfortable at Old Trafford, it just... I never thought in my lifetime I'd see that, to be honed.
I have lots of questions today. Do you mind if I ask?
No, please, go ahead.
Because I've got these 2 defenders here, right? And I look at the fact that there was so much mobility in the Liverpool attack against... who they play in their first game? Now they played Ipswich in the attack against Ipswich, and I just look at that fluidity that Arne Slot's managed to retain, and the fact that you can move Maguire around, you can play balls inside the fullback as they have done, and it worries me for Manchester United. What do you do as a defender when you're coming up against a side like that?
To be honest, I was a defender, but we also happen to have a coach here as well. So coach, what would you do?
Well, I think because they're that good, I think it's a damage limitation job, and I'll explain what I mean. So no matter what you do, they can unlock it. So if you have a high line, they can go in behind you. If you drop deep, they can play through or around you. So you need to be brave at times, not to be too deep, but also probably not as aggressive as Ipswich were in the first half. So it depends on your personnel, but you've got to find that middle ground where you're comfortable enough to limit their threats. But it's easier said than done.
But yeah, I agree. And I think realistically as well, some people have a perception whereby you should always be able to stop the opposition. Well, that's not necessarily defending. The goals are pretty big and the players you're playing against are pretty good. But what you can do is make it as hard as possible for them to be able, you have to be organised, you have to be competitive, you have to try and upset their rhythm, upset their timing, but also realise that the other team will have chances, and that's also why you have a goalkeeper. Goalkeepers in there to make saves as well, not just to be comfortable and do nothing. So it takes a total sort of effort to limit a side. And it's not impossible because, as far as I see, Liverpool aren't the greatest team that's ever played football either. So and I think playing at home, you've got to be on the front foot and get the crowd behind you.
I forgot how spicy you are, actually.
No, it's because he said...
Goalkeepers are not just there.
It's when Darren, to be fair, it's when he said United are just the biggest club in the world. I could hear so many people shaking their heads on the TV screen. But, such is life.
OK, Darren, a question you have to answer yourself.
OK, go on.
OK, it's about Chiesa. What a fascinating signing, because I don't really understand how they got him for that price.
Yes.
And if you consider Euro 2020, he didn't kick on because he was injured, and he's not quite lived up to the hype, right?
Yeah, the key word is injured, because he has had his problems over the last couple of seasons, and that's why it's gone for around about £12.5 billion. He's only 26 years of age, so he's got a lot of football in him and a lot of mileage on the clock and a lot of quality as well. He'll play down that right-hand side. I'm one of life's big cynics, and I look at the contract negotiations or not in relation to Mo Salah and what might happen with him. He looks after himself superbly well. He doesn't drink, bad things. So, he's probably going to be scoring goals deep into his 30s. But there you've got a ready-made replacement for him if things don't go Liverpool's way.
Interesting fact, which I'm surprised you haven't mentioned yet.
I'm not allowed to do stats anymore. Remember you told me, because they're all on the screen.
You say facts or stats?
No, it's not me, but it's facts. It's the same thing. It's because we have this brand new look for the show.
Looks fantastic.
Even I'm not allowed to anymore. But our stats guy has just told me that £35 million have been spent on transfer deadline day this season. Last season was over 200 million. So spending is down significantly. And while we're talking about that, why don't we round up some of the other transfers since it's deadline day across the Premier League?
Thank you very much, Carl. It's a massive game already in the Premier League season. One that the neutrals always look forward to, right?
Good game, man.
Is it
hard to call as well?
Still the biggest fixture in English football? Or not?
Biggest rivalry?
Yeah.
I do look forward to City and Liverpool just because of the.
That's a new rivalry, absolutely.
That's a new one, yeah. But historically,
historically, this is the one.
Yeah,
and the games are always tight or either a high scoring, like thumping, or like someone's clinging on and scores last minute. Like
I think a good way to tell is if you ask Manchester United fans, they don't like Liverpool more than they don't like City.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So I think that game, and obviously, and I think if you ask Liverpool fans if they prefer Man City or Man United, it'd definitely be Man City fans. So I think they hate each other the most.
The City and Liverpool rivalry is just two high teams at the same level playing each other. Whereas there's this one, there's a bit of vim.
A little bit of vim. Some extra spice, two Dutch managers. First time that's happened in the Premier League since 2016. And the 4 times they faced each other in the top flight in Holland, it's 2-2 to the managers.
Is it 2-2?
Oh.
Yes, 2-2. Who's taking the lead?
I mean, traditionally
Why are you
as
asking
well.
a Liverpool fan?
No, because his objective's not like you.
Traditionally as well, a high-scoring game this at Old Trafford. Last 6 games in all competitions have averaged 5 goals a game.
Liverpool scored most of them.
Yeah. I'm looking at that 5-0 one. I remember that.
Yeah.
Do you know who I think it's going to be 2-0 Liverpool. I just think Salah is
at Old Trafford.
He's got a thing to prove this season. So I just think,
Do you?
With the low cut fade. Woo!
I mean, none of. I mean, his haircut does look good, doesn't it? It looks really weird seeing him like that, but it does really suit him. Obviously, this is Arne Slot's first game against Manchester United. None of Liverpool's last 9 managers have ever won their first league game against Manchester United.
Both of you are coming with the historic stats today, man. Yeah, I stepped my game up.
We've been reading the stat pack that our producer sends us, but we never usually do. But you can tell we've read it this week, haven't you?
The only counter-action to that, I think Arne Slot was the first Liverpool manager to win his opening game of the season for however long. All the previous managers never won their opening game of the season.
Do you like him?
I really do, actually. What I've been most impressed with is the way that he's just kind of quietly gone about his work. When he joined the club and he signed as a manager, he didn't do a press conference straight away. He was like, in my own time, which I think was genius in the way that he's taken over from such a legendary and iconic manager in Jurgen Klopp. He's just given time the opportunity to let it cook, let it marinate, so he can then come in and do his thing.
I think they've both had like very contrasting, both good windows, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
Like Liverpool obviously have only signed Federico Chiesa, who we're yet to see if he's the player of a few years ago, but has the potential to be and be a brilliant signing. But also Man United, I think they've upgraded all the positions they wanted to with younger players for the future. And I think they'll be really happy with their window. And I think Liverpool fans will probably be really happy that they haven't been rushed into making any big decisions, especially over a number 6 and the Caicedo thing last year. It would have been very easy for you to try and rush that again with Slot, because obviously he's a new manager. But I think you've been calm and composed in this transfer window, but I also think Manchester United have had a good one on paper. Yet to see.
Because you just almost gave Liverpool a compliment.
I can't lie.
I take everything I just said back.
Very careful there, Scott.
Okay, time to head up to Liverpool for target practice.
The other thing as well to say about that victory is that, it was in the balance. There wasn't very much in it at all. And Manchester United could just as easily have taken 3 points from this game. But I'm really interested in your thoughts as a striker, because we talked a little bit about Nicholas Jackson last week, about just straying into offside positions, even if it's just by a millimetre, and how that needs to be cut out of his game, because that's what experience brings. So when you're in this situation and Garnacho's ball is coming across, is it a mistake to have gone for it? Is there a way of being able to pull yourself out when you've already got that momentum behind you? What do you think?
See, right, Kels, why I can't. He should not get no stick for this, because as you'll see here, D, he's got to go in for this. Yeah. He has to attack this space he's attacking. The ball's gone past him. He's on the ground. There's nothing he can do now. You know what I mean? The ball's hit him. So look, I don't even think I wouldn't probably be aware enough to say I'm gonna take my knee out of the way. No. But for me, that's a really tough decision on him, because for the first one, Kels, it's gone past him. He's not even stopped the first movement yet, and the ball's come back in. It's hit his knee. Those things should be taken into consideration, simply because there's nothing he could do about that situation. Yeah. He has to go on the first one, Kels.
Yeah, but I suppose the question is, he does have to go, but could he have timed it slightly better, because he was in an offside position when he chose to go?
When the first cross?
Oh, no, the second cross. Oh, because he was already on the way with the
first cross. The
second cross, he's already on the way.
Exactly, yeah. So this is what I'm saying. When we see it, Kels, I think he's doing brilliant here, D. Yeah. If I'm wrong, because he looks like he's not going. Then that burst of speed, the ball's too hard for him. Ideally, he should be playing that ball to Xerxes.
Yeah.
He's passed it past him. Yeah. He's made a great run, and you could see the way he held the run was brilliant, because he got in there with pace, and the pass was too much for him. And for it to come off his knee and go in, it's so harsh on him, because there's nothing he could do.
Everything about it's good, as you said there, right? Because he's even pointing where he wants it, but he looks like he's not interested. So I'm thinking, we'll get in there, and then the last minute, that burst of energy, he's in there, and it's a tapping. But on the flip side, if you're Garnacho, you're thinking, it's a bit of a scuffy finish, so just put it in the net. Just put it in the net, and there's no... Like, your hand holds up, you celebrate. But the fact that he's almost hit Xerxes on the line, it's a little bit of... It's luck at the end of the day. But for Xerxes, he's done nothing wrong there. His movement, I prefer to see him in there than not. Because if he doesn't make that run, that ball doesn't happen. They get back the defenders, they clear it out, it's over.
It's such a strange one, though, because in real time, it didn't really look like he'd made any contact with it. It was just an odd offside, wasn't it? Just one of those anomalies.
And so unlucky. And I think he's done enough in the first 2 games with Manchester United for probably Manchester United fans to feel like, OK, he's a good addition to this squad, because he's hungry and he wants to be in those positions. And with Rasmus Højlund's fitness, obviously, a bit of a question mark, they need good energy centre forwards who are going to be in the right positions. And I think where other players are struggling, like Marcus Rashford out wide, I think his positioning, his offside awareness is just, it's not quite there.
And it should be there, to be honest, Flo. I feel like what I'd like to see from Xerxes is maybe someone with more focal point, even more focal point for Man United, staying up there, so as they could play into him more, so we could see more. Because what I've seen, since the first game, he set it up and got in the box, scored the goal. That one, his movement, I really liked it, because he was playing possum, and then bam, he went in. It says to me he's got the energy to be sharp in and around the box. I would keep him in the whip for the 18-yard box, Kel, and play into him, and then get people coming onto him. That's what I would try to do, because Man United find it very hard to keep the ball in the last third. They don't do it. No.
Well, I think the issue I find with them is that they love playing keep ball, but they don't do anything with the ball.
They do it for the sake of it.
There's such little creativity. And I watched that first game thinking it felt like half the game plan was just let's win some free kicks in and around the box, whereas that's not how you should be playing. No. They're going to have plenty of possession in these games. They've shown that last season and this season, but you've got to do more with it. You've got to be deliberate in how you play. And I think in both these Manchester United games, I haven't seen enough of that. And then again, their defence lets them down. And that was the issue last season, conceding way too many chances.
That goal, that second goal, I don't know, when you see it, I couldn't believe it.
As a striker, you think it's Christmas.
I couldn't believe it.
It could have been any three of them, but they've got on the end of that.
I tell you, you could go back as far as you want archives. You'll have to go a long way to find a defence in the so-called top division that have left 3 people on the back post like that. I couldn't believe it.
Couldn't
believe it.
Yeah, I mean, what's this down to? Is it players' decisions? Is it players having switched off?
No communication. No one checks their shoulders either.
Yeah.
No one even has a look. It's just to go, right, because usually it's like a second phase. As it goes out, you'll see, right, whoever I'm closest to, I'm going to mark them.
Yeah.
But not one of them centre-half defenders, and experienced the licks there, there's a few there looking around. No one checks their shoulders. And that's where the confusion comes in, because they think, right, the first one's been half cleared, we've all done our jobs now, and they don't go, say, oh, there's the danger. And that's been the problem, as you said there, Flo, for Manchester United.
But the thing is that you're right as well there, Dee, because what's meant to happen is that when you're doing the training, so when it comes in, you clear it, Kels, you come out to the certain place. But on the way out, you're checking to see where the men are. So when that's gone out and then it's come back here, man, there's still ball watching. And honestly, I couldn't believe they let in a goal like that.
Do you think there's an element of heads dropping after the goal is disallowed and then maybe not quite having to switch back on after that? Could that have played in?
I just think people not doing their jobs.
What I was going to say, I don't know, because the first goal similarly was bad positioning. And I think that is the issue, is that there's a lack of leadership, there's a lack of communication with experienced players who should, in those moments, have enough awareness not to be ball watching, to know where the danger is and be able to manage the game better. And I think the issue for Manchester United is it's quite a lot of build-up of the same sort of scenarios. And in that first one, Martinez isn't moving across to mark the player he should be, and then Maguire is stretching for a ball he doesn't get to, and it's a really simple finish.
For Danny Welbeck to have that much space in that close proximity to the line, to literally just to be able to tap it in again, feeds into the fact that the organisation and communication in their back line is kind of non-existent.
Do you know as well? Because it's almost like, and if you look at the substitutions, Eric Ten Hag takes off Maguire and he brings on De Ligt and McTominay. So clearly he doesn't trust them defensively. Well, on the flip side, Fabian Hurtzler, he puts on a Dingra, he puts on Jorginho. So clearly his team know exactly what they're doing down to a man. Whereas Eric Ten Hag's thinking, do you know what? We've got to a point here. I don't want to lose this. I don't quite know where this is going to go. So if I put on 2 more defensive-minded players, hopefully that will see us over the line. And sometimes it doesn't always work.
And the flip side of that is you've then got dangerous players like Bruno Fernandes sitting on the bench, and there's that shot of him and Ahmed, I think, is next to him on the bench, where the two of them are just boot-faced because they know that they could have made a difference at the other end.
Unless they were injured, I could not understand those substitutions to the point where you saw Bruno Fernandes coming off. He's almost laughing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You see Hamad. I've watched him since pre-season, all the way through the Community Shield. I've seen some good stuff from him playing now, and I'm not sure why he's taken him off. It's not like he needs rest. He hasn't been at a tournament or anything, and he's playing well. He's scored a goal. You saw it's like when he got released, he was like grease lightning. He wasn't, and he took him off. You know what I mean? It's, again, you think to yourself,
because
why isn't Garnacho starting?
Yeah, you can look at the goals and say you can blame the players in a sense there and say, well, there's not much Eric Ten Hag can do if the players aren't concentrating and aren't in the right positions. But when it comes down to the substitutions, he's on his own. That's his decisions, isn't it?
And I'm sorry, I'm not taking Bruno Fernandes off when it's 1-1.
Not when it's tight like that.
No chance, absolutely. I don't know what the excuse will be for that. I haven't heard anything. I don't know if he's injured. But just judging by the way he ran off, I couldn't understand it. I probably, if I'm going to be, at the moment, I'm probably starting Garnacho over Marcus Rashford. I think that he's somebody that, again, he's got a goal disallowed, but he gets it for the way Man United play at the moment, because there's so much emphasis on their wingers to thrive in one-on-one situations, guys, that he's the one that relishes that. He comes on, he wants to score and normally does score. So I can't understand now why, and I'm not saying in no negative way, Marcus Rashford is starting over him. I would start Amad Diallo, and I would probably start Garnacho just because they look like they're up for it right now.
Yeah. Liverpool next week for Manchester United, which is going to be an interesting one. Although the record at Old Trafford for Palace, Tottenham, Villa, Brentford, you feel that there's points in there for Manchester United and room for them to develop over those games.
Yeah, but you say that, Kels, and you look at the defending and how they played. You can't look at those games and just say, well, there's room for them to... Simply because you don't know what Man United's going to... Are the defence going to be like that? Are they going to be able to create and score the goals? You know, is he going to take off top players when they get to a certain level in the game? I don't think you could call a Man United game at the moment because, you know, at the moment, for me, it's not a lot different from last season.
I would look at those fixtures and think there's some banana skins there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's the energy I think Manchester United have around them at the moment. And I was really impressed with the transfer window they had and thought that they would start the season better than they have. And I think it's just a little bit concerning that there is still such a lack of identity and idea there when the manager has been there for an amount of time where you'd like to think that things should be moving in a direction that feels like there's growth.
Yeah, and as much as we say we're only 2 games in, it feels like it's an extension, as you've said, of last season as well that we're looking into for Manchester United. Also,
calm, very collected, Michael.
Very impressive, yeah. I've been really impressed with him since he's arrived. He said the right things. He looks assured, doesn't he? And he's got conviction about what he says. His team have gone out there and done it. 2 comfortable wins, 2 clean sheets. You know, as Glenn said, I think that's the ultimate sort of accolade, I suppose, at the moment, is that when other managers have been at clubs for a long, long time and departed, you question whether they'll continue, and they didn't in terms of their form and their dominance. Whereas at the moment, I've stopped thinking about it already. Stopped thinking about, will this all go the same now Jurgen Klopp's there? Is the change of things, is there going to be any change of players? What's going to happen? Already, I'm pretty calm about it as well, thinking this guy knows what he's doing. He's really calm about things. And I think that's probably the biggest compliment you can give him at the moment.
Yeah, I think he's, dare I say, slotted in quite nicely. No, I think he has actually done that in pre-season. He's building something there. But, you know, he's going to have bigger tests, let's be fair. You know, they're going to come under the cosh. They're going to lose a few games. That, I've always said it, that's when you get tested as a player, and you certainly get tested as a manager and your staff, is when you've suffered a few defeats. How do you react to that? You know, how then do you go into training and pick the team up, pick yourself up, all them things? That's going to happen because this Premier League, you make one little slip and a team will beat you. There's no doubt about it. And it could be a team down the bottom because that's how strong this league is.
And while it might be an anomaly, to do what no other Liverpool manager's has done in the Premier League era and win their first 2 games, that's quite something, isn't it? It bodes well.
Well, yes, it does. I was surprised when I heard that. I thought other managers...
Graham Souness, the last one in 91.
Back in 91. That has surprised me. I'm just thinking... You know, Klopp probably would have done that, or, you know, it just really hit me that. I'm not sure, but it's a great start, but there's going to be bigger tests.
This next game's the one, isn't it?
Oh, this is it.
I mean, if Liverpool beat Manchester United, people will be getting carried away thinking, you know, slot is absolutely what Liverpool need. Fantastic, everything's fine, because you can't no longer say, they've only beaten Brentford and Ipswich. Go into Old Trafford, win in a big pressure game against your arch rivals. People will get excited if Liverpool win the next one. If they don't, then maybe people will start asking questions. Because, as Glenn said, it has been only 2 games so far.
But even there, if they go to Old Trafford, control the game, don't finish them off and get a draw, looking at it from a manager's point of view, I'm thinking, right, we're onto something here.
Yeah.
If they go there and get beat 3-0, then there's a big problem. But they could go there, dominate the game, create better chances, don't take them, and get a draw. And if that happens, you're coming back down the motorway across the Liverpool game. Hey, we got a team on our hands here.
Yeah.
We can go toe to toe with everyone.
Is it a good game to have a game of that magnitude so early on in the season 4 slot?
Well, yeah, why not? I don't think it's not like it's the first game. He's going to have to play them at some point anyway. He's got a full pre-season under his belt. 2 Premier League games, 1 home, 1 away. I don't think it's any problem. And we just saw the fixtures there as well. I mean, if they beat Manchester United, all of a sudden they've got not a bad little run. They could go, they could be the first 7 games and have 18, 21 points straight away. It's a real good marker in the sand.
And United have just lost to Brighton, by the way.
Yeah.
It's not the United of old that they're going to, let's be fair. They're still in transition. They beat Fulham with a late goal that changed the game there. That was nip and tuck for quite a long time, that game. So they're not going there with a United team that's really on fire and they can't wait for Liverpool to come. Yes, the atmosphere and the fan, we know the rivalry, but, they're going there as a team that's in good form, really good form, confident, and I wouldn't be surprised if at least they get
Brilliant start for Brighton and their new manager, Tim. But for Manchester United, win the opening game, not a vintage performance, and then lose the second one.
Yeah, I didn't see... I listened to Eric there. He's talking about large parts they had control. I didn't see the control. I really didn't. I saw a team living on moments again. They've got very good players, Manchester United, but I don't think there's a style. I don't think there's an identity. And I keep saying this year on year. He's not been there 2 minutes now. He's been there 2 years. He's been there long enough. Hurslow's the manager of Brighton. Has been there 10 minutes, really. He's had the pre-season. And you see an identity out of position and in possession. And look, if you put the two squads together, there's very few, in new hierarchy at Man United, very few players in the Brighton squad that they would be taking. So that says that the manager needs to be doing better with the group of players that he's got. I think he has to hold his hands up. He's put himself under pressure now because they've got Liverpool next. It's going to be a very, very tough fixture for him. I think he's under pressure anyway because I think it was mixed. I think you can't knock his record. 2 trophies in 2 seasons, fantastic. But we need to do better. And I continually say it on here, I want Man United to be great again. I want them to be challenging in the Premier League. They're miles away from challenging the Premier League title. It's going to take time, we know that. But let's just see progress. And at the moment, I don't see progress, Jules.
Let's talk, to be fair, about a turning point. And certainly most of us think it is. I want your opinion on it because they did have the ball in the back of the net. At this point, it's 2-1. A, was the offside call correct? And B, could Xerxes have gotten out of the way?
Yeah, very good break. Really good counter-attacking break. And Garnacho has to do better. He cannot hit Xerxes with the ball. Good timing of the overlap there. It was definitely onside. Xerxes has to throw himself there because he tries to score in the first instance. Can he get out of the way? No, I don't believe he can. I don't believe he's trying to score there. I just think it's impossible for him to move his body out of the way. And Garnacho has to miss him. He has to try and put that ball into the near post as best he can. It's a correct decision.
They're very unlucky. They're very unlucky. I mean, Garnacho could have finished it off a little bit better and not hit Xerxes, but at the same time, when your teammate's sliding in, you're putting it in the back of the net to come off his knee right on the line, because it quite easily could have been one more rotation, the ball would have been then over the line. So from that point of view, they were very unlucky there.
Ten Hag talked about soft goals that they conceded. How did you see them?
That's a theme. Every time we watch Man United, they're soft goals. They don't defend. They don't smell danger. The goals and the clips that we're going to run in typifies that. There's no communication. There's lots of players wearing red that are just ball watching. Rashford's ball watching. Kobe Mainoo's ball watching. Casemiro's ball watching. No one smells any danger. It doesn't matter what position you are when the manager puts you on the team sheet. At some point, you've got to see a blue and white shirt. You've got to say, right, I'm an emergency centre-back here. In this scenario, I'm going to get in the 6-yard box. This one highlights Casemiro, who's an experienced player who had a good game last week. But he should know the game's at 1-1 with 2 minutes left on the clock. Great from a Brighton point of view in terms of the stand-up cross from Adingra and a really clever finish from João Pedro. But when you see this here and you say to Casemiro, what are you thinking here at 1-1? You can't be thinking about the counter-attack because watch where he runs. He thinks Man United are going to win the ball. So he's probably thinking, I'm going to sprint out here and I'm going to join in on the transition. Xerxes then static on the penalty spot. There's loads of space, 3 players at the far post. It's a brilliant find. But when you talk about soft goals, that's the definition of soft goals. Players with hands in the air. No one's man-marking anyone. No one smells any danger. As I said, if you're Casemiro, you've been around the block, you know the game. Don't be sprinting out the 18-yard box. Pick up a Brighton player and you might just affect it. And then that's the difference of coming away with a point on the board. A tricky fixture, by the way, because before the game, when I seen the 2 lineups come in and the history between the 2 clubs over the last 3 or 4 years, I thought Brighton win. I thought Brighton would beat Man United. So it looked like, and it should have been a draw, but there was 1 or 2 Man United players I just thought
for some reason, I'm just going to sprint out an area when there was no pressure on the ball. You've got to be a defender. And that for Ten Hag and his coaching staff's a worry, because you think, what are the players actually thinking in a decisive moment? What are they seeing? What are they smelling, if anything?
They're toothless at the moment. I mean, Hoyland's obviously out injured. When can you ever remember a Man United squad with one centre forward in it? I mean, he's playing false nines. You know, he's playing Fernandes up there.
Yeah.
I mean, then Mason Mount, and then maybe Garnacho comes inside. Rashford doesn't want to play there. He wants to play on the left-hand side. I mean, back in the day, they used to have 4, you know, in the squad. 2 on the pitch at all time and 2 waiting to come on, and often brought on and changed the game. I cannot remember the last time I've seen a Man United squad so void of a centre forward, an attacking centre forward. And we know he's injured, Hoyland, but I'm not sure he's the answer anyway. But we'll give him time because he needs to settle. It's a very different league. But when you haven't got the firepower, the last thing you want to be doing is bring off Bruno Fernandes. He laughed when he came off that pitch. You could see him smiling. He could not believe that his number had just come up. When you need a goal, it's Brighton you're playing, with respect. I know you're away from home, but Manchester United need to be beating Brighton, no, whether it's at Old Trafford or whether it's at the Amex. They need to be winning that game. But 2 managers made changes. Hertzler made changes to win the game. For me, Ten Hag made changes to preserve what they had, which was a draw, and they deserved what they got. There are the changes. Look at the attacking changes here from Brighton. Let's go and win this game. And in contrast, I think Man United did not make the correct changes. You do not bring off Bruno Fernandes, who's your biggest goal threat, when you want to win the football match.
And I've got no idea why Garnacho is not starting for Man United. I know it's very early on. I know players have been away, and I get that, and they're not match sharp. But when I watch Garnacho play, if I was Ten Hag, Van Nistelrooy, anyone that's managing Man United, I would absolutely build a side around him. Because every time he plays, he brings energy. You can tell that he's dynamic. We talk about affecting the game. He runs hard, he fights hard, he scores goals, he makes things happen all of the time. So when you're looking at a squad that's not particularly, in terms of what Tim said, they haven't got the firepower because of players that are missing. Garnacho's the game changer. Has to start nearly every single game if you can.
Yeah, just to give credit as well to Fabian Hertzler, who we all talk about as the youngest Premier League manager, but now we're talking about the way in which he's making those decisions, contrasting to Ten Hag. Ayari, he brought on Ruta, he brought on then Adingra, who sets up what turns out to be the winning goal.
Yeah.
Incredible from him.
Yeah, good. He's done brilliant. But he's fresh. He's fresh. He wants to make the difference, and he certainly did. Long may it continue from Brighton's sake.
It's sort of experience, isn't it? Because, other managers might have thought, at home, Man United, I'll take a 1-1. And he went the other way, so he's brave.
Yeah.